Well, folks, your day is finally here. Yes, indeed. You know, you have dedicated a good portion of your life, 12 years of grade school and more years of college, to your education. And now your moment of truth is here, and you're ready to make your mark on the world. But while your wait for graduation is over, your education is not over. You are about to enter the third of 3 phases of your education. Post-university has provided you with phase 1, an academic education for your toolkit. This is the knowledge that you get from your textbooks in class and the information imparted to you by your professors. This is the foundation of your toolkit. This is what you will use when you go and work for somebody else, or even if you decide to become self-employed and work for yourself and start your own business. Academic education is your foundation. Post-university has also supplied your toolkit with phase 2, a vicarious education. This is the education and knowledge that you get from the experience of others. And this is done by bringing in speakers who speak on topics that supplement what you're learning in school. These are the experts that have their fingers on the pulse and their boots on the ground because they either have done or are doing the jobs that you aspire to do when you graduate. Their expertise is invaluable because they can tell you the do's and don'ts and let you know what works and what won't. They can save you a lot of time of trial and error because they've already been there and done that. So that vicarious education is extremely important and another layer of your toolkit. But you know, post-university goes an extra mile. Post-university also brings in speakers to impart expertise on other topics that some institutions of higher learning around the country will shy away from because they consider those topics perhaps a little too controversial or perhaps a little too difficult to have on campus. I'm talking about topics that deal with issues such as divisive politics, racism, homophobia, sexism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, LGBTQ issues, and a host of other isms and phobias. Post is not afraid to tackle those things because those are real-world topics that you will encounter sometimes when you're out during your life. And now, because of this vicarious education that Post has provided, you will have the knowledge on how to address those issues with dignity and humanity. Now, when you leave this campus today, you are going to enter into another campus. It is on this campus that you enter into that you will begin phase 3 of your education. And you will be enrolled in that campus for the rest of your lives. Phase 3 is called empirical education. And that is the knowledge that you get from your own life experiences. And you will take those experiences and also supplement your toolkit with the knowledge that you get from your own collection of do's and don'ts and what works and what won't. Be proud of your degree. Your degree says 2 things about you. It says, 1, that you have taken on a task and you have completed it. Whether you completed it early, on time, or later, doesn't matter. You got the job done. And that is what matters. That's what matters when you go to apply for a job. Your degree says that if that employer gives you the job, you will complete it. And that's what they want to know. They want to know that if they hire you, you won't be here today and gone tomorrow. They want to know that you will get that job done. It also lets the employer know, even if you apply for a job in which you did not major in that field, it tells that employer that you will stick it out and get that job done. Because you put in the time and hard work into earning that degree. That lets them know that you will put in the hard time and energy into completing the job if they give it to you. Now, on the other side, you will run into some issues from time to time where you go to apply for a job and perhaps the employer doing the hiring, he or she would want somebody that has more hands-on experience or on-the-job experience, even though you have that degree that says you are certified and qualified for that job. Here is how you handle that when you feel that you're about to be turned down because they want somebody who's already had that experience. I want you to repeat after me. Say, I have the knowledge. Please give me the experience. And together we will be successful. Say it again. I have the knowledge. Please give me the experience. And together we will be successful. One more time. Let me hear it with energy. I have the knowledge. Please give me the experience. And together we will be successful. That's right. All right. Now, I want to share some things with you that I have learned during my phase 3 of my education, my empirical education. I want to share with you. First of all, I'm 64 years of age. I have been to 61 countries on 6 continents. I've been to all 50 states. So now, thank you. But let me tell you what I've learned by that, okay? What does that mean other than the fact that I'm well-traveled? What it means is I have been exposed to a multitude of skin colors, ethnicities, cultures, ideologies, belief systems, religions, etc. And all of that has helped shape who I have become. Thank you. Let me tell you something. All this travel does not make me a better human being than anyone else. But what it does is it has given me a better and broader perspective on humanity than those people who have not had that amount of exposure, that amount of travel provides. And I can tell you something, no matter how far I go from our country, the United States, whether it's right next door to Canada or right next door to Mexico, no matter how different the people I encounter may be, perhaps they don't look like me, they don't speak my language, or perhaps they don't worship as I do, I always conclude one thing, and that is that we all are human beings. And as such, we all want these core values in our lives. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be respected. We all want to be heard. We all want to be treated fairly by others and be told the truth by others. We also want the same things for our family as anybody else wants for their family. And if we can learn to apply those core values whenever we find ourselves in a situation that is adversarial or a society or culture in which we are unfamiliar, I will guarantee you that your navigation will be much more smooth and much more positive. Thank you. Also, if you have the opportunity to travel, take it. My favorite quote of all time is by the author Samuel Clemens, otherwise known as by his pen name, Mark Twain. It's called the Travel Quote, and I'm going to recite it for you right now. Mark Twain said, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. That is so true. If you have the opportunity to travel, take it. Also remember, your most valuable asset that you have is your credibility. That's right. Always be transparent. Remember this, you only have one opportunity to make a good first impression. You may have a second or third opportunity to make an impression, but you only have one opportunity to make a good first impression. And most people would judge you by their first impression of you. Like for example, let's just take for example, let's say a new restaurant opens and you go there for the first time and you see your favorite dish on the menu and you order it, but it tastes terrible. Chances are you will not come back to that restaurant to try any other dishes, even though the other dishes might be fine. Maybe that first dish or the first thing that you ordered might have just been a fluke. But are you going to take that chance? Maybe, maybe not. But if you were impressed the first time by that dish, your first time in that restaurant, when you return a second or third time and you have a bad taste experience, you will probably be more forgiving because you know that it did taste better before. So always, always be 100% on your game with everybody you encounter each time you encounter them. You only have one opportunity to make a good first impression. All right? Now, speaking of encounters, you may come across some situations that become adversarial or contentious. You know, nobody goes through life with no bumps in the road, right? Listen to this. A missed opportunity for dialogue is a missed opportunity for conflict resolution. Nothing gets resolved without talking about it. The greatest weapon known to man to dismantle ignorance, fear, violence, racism, contention is also the least expensive weapon in the world. It's called conversation. It's called dialogue. Yet, that's right, yet it remains the most overlooked and underused tool to dismantle disagreement. We need to use it more. We spend way too much time talking about the other person, or talking at the other person, or talking past the other person. Why don't we spend a little bit of time talking with the other person? Thank you. Keep in mind, when two adversaries are talking, they're not fighting, they're talking. Maybe they're disagreeing, but at least they're talking. It's when the conversation ceases that the ground becomes fertile for violence and more conflict. So you always want to keep the conversation going. Here at Post University, you have been given the knowledge and the tools to shape your future. Your career, your society, your country can only become one of two things. One, it can become that which you sit back and watch it become, or two, it can become that which you stand up and make it become. You have to ask yourselves the question. You don't have to answer it right now today, but just take a few days to think about it and answer it to yourself. Do you want to sit back and see what your life and your way of living becomes? Or do you want to stand up and make it become what you want to see? That's a question that only you can answer. Now, you know, we see a lot of division in this world. And let me tell you how that comes about. My generation, my parents' generation built the technology to put a man on the moon. And while Neil Armstrong was up there walking around on the moon, astronaut Neil Armstrong that is, while he's up there walking around on the moon talking about one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind, my parents' generation also built the technology for a satellite radio phone. so that we could talk live all the way from Earth, all the way to the moon, to Neil Armstrong while he's walking around. My generation built the technology for email, for cell phones, for the internet, which all of you use every day of your lives now. My parents and I, our generations, were products of the 20th century. And what you see in the world today, the divide and all this divisiveness, this is what happens when someone's technology exceeds their ideology. That's when you have that imbalance there. You are going to live the bulk of your lives in this 21st century. It will be your job to accelerate the growth, evolve your ideology to catch up with your technology, because your technology is always going to be evolving. In order to strike that balance, you need to evolve your ideology as well and get them both up there. When you have that balance, that is when the world will know peace, civility, and prosperity. Now, thank you. In the ensuing years, you're going to be entrenched in your careers. Many of you will be married. You'll be raising families of your own if you don't already have a family. The future is yours. You can shape it any way you want. So think about your future, think about that of your family that you have or the one you will one day create. Don't be thinking in space-age times, but remaining with a Stone Age mind. Use the education you got here at Post, and time flies. Before you know it, you will be sending your kids to college. I want you to think back on this day and those 3 phases of education, 2 of which you got here at Post University: your academic education, your vicarious education, and the empirical education that you will now start developing once you leave here. Think back about that, because Post University will be the springboard to all of your future successful accomplishments. Consider sending your kids right here to Post University that is not afraid to take on controversial all-world topics. Okay? You saw that diversity that was here on this stage earlier. That is what the world is. Let's embrace it. Let's explore the world. And where we see things that are broken, let's fix them. I wish each and every one of you success in all you endeavor to do. Congratulations, graduates.